Good day. This is meteorologist Eric Johnson from the Fleetweather Ocean Riding Center in New York. It's currently about 0:30 Z on Friday, September 2nd, and this is going to be an update on the tropics across the North Atlantic. So what has started off as a pretty quiet season for the Atlantic. We actually had no named systems during the month of August. We now have three separate systems we're looking at now that we're into the start of September. So definitely appears things are finally ramping up for the Atlantic basin. So starting off here, taking a look at the overall satellite, the three systems we have are one Invest 94L, currently located just to the northwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Then we have Invest 91L further to the west, which is several hundred miles east or east-northeast of the Leeward Islands. And then finally, further to the north across the central North Atlantic, we have now Tropical Storm Danielle. So we'll start off taking a closer look at Tropical Storm Danielle. So here's the latest expected forecast track from the National Hurricane Center. We can see they have the system meandering in the same vicinity through the end of the weekend. And then finally, by the beginning of next week, beginning to move off to the northeast. And their latest intensity forecast does have the system becoming a hurricane by later in the day on the 2nd. So now we'll take a bit closer look at the system. So with this closer satellite image here, we can see there is currently some flaring convection in the vicinity of the center of the system as it is undergoing strengthening at this point. If I overlay the current wind shear, we can see it's currently in a pretty favorable environment with generally low to maybe borderline moderate vertical wind shear. And being it is expected to meander in the same vicinity for the next few days, it will remain in these generally conducive conditions. And then as we get into the longer term, into the beginning to middle of next week, when it starts to move off to the northeast, we can see that it will likely be moving into an area of higher wind shear, which is expected to begin to weaken the system at that point. And we can see that's actually denoted in the National Hurricane Center's forecast. By 48 hours out, they do have the system strengthening up to a Category 2 strength hurricane and remaining at that through 72 hours. And then by the time we get to 96 hours out and after, weakening back to a Category 1 due to the aforementioned less favorable conditions. And finally, we'll take a quick look at the 12Z GFS ensembles for this system. And I'll also make note the 12Z ECMWF ensembles are in very good agreement with the GFS here, or very similar, I should say. So we can see, similar to NHC's forecast, the system will kind of be meandering for the next few days before finally moving off to the northeast into the beginning of next week. We can see, though, in the longer term, especially beyond 4 to 5 days out, there is quite a bit of uncertainty yet, with some ensemble members indicating even a possible northward track, some more due east, and anywhere in between. So this will definitely be something we're going to want to closely monitor as we head into next week for any ships that may be transiting in the region. Then the next system we'll talk about is Invest 91L, which is currently a medium chance of development through 48 hours or 50%, and a high 70% chance of development through 5 days from the National Hurricane Center's latest 8 p.m. update. So we'll take a closer look at that system on the SIMS website here. So we can see now that I'm playing the animation, we do have some flaring convection in the vicinity of the center of the circulation of the system. And if I overlay shear for this system, it is currently in a generally favorable environment with low vertical wind shear. However, as the system moves off to the west-northwest in the coming days, it is expected to be moving into an area of higher wind shear values, as we can see here. So any development through the next few days is expected to be minimal at this point. However, in the long term, as the system gets more to the north of the Leeward Islands, there is a greater chance for some possible strengthening as it gets into some of these lower wind shear values, as we can see here. And so taking a quick look at the 12Z GFS ensembles for this system, again, we can see a general west-northwest track through about 72 hours out. And again, we can see remaining relatively weak through that point. And the ECMWF ensembles are also in agreement on that. And then we can see in the longer term, there is quite a bit of uncertainty with some members continuing the west-northwest track, but a good majority of the members indicating a northeast turn with some strengthening possible. So this is another system that we'll have to closely monitor for any ships transiting north of the Leeward Islands in the next few days, and then possibly over the central North Atlantic into the longer term. And finally, the last system we'll take a look at is Invest 94L to the northwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Only a low 10% chance of development through 5 days, and not really anticipating any development with this system. If I overlay the shear in the vicinity of the system currently, it is currently in low wind shear. However, as it moves to the west-northwest in the coming days, it'll be moving into an area of more moderate wind shear. And the bigger inhibiting factor is just a lot of dry air off to the northwest of the system, which will likely inhibit any development of the system. So there shouldn't be any significant concerns in regards to this system. So that sums up the Tropics update for the North Atlantic for today, September 2nd. Thank you for watching. Stay connected and safe.